Milling Through History presents Explorer Under the Sea. Jacques Cousteau and his famous ship Calypso is something that captured the imaginations of people who had always wanted to know what was under the sea. And yet, this is a man who has certainly been instrumental in understanding oceanography, but it almost didn't happen. Born June the 11th, 1910, Jacques Cousteau always had ambitions in being part of the French Navy. However, his potential naval career was cut short after an automobile accident broke both of his arms, and any dream of becoming a Navy pilot would have to be put on hold. And so, Cousteau, instead of focusing on being part of a French naval air fleet, would look upon the ocean, his second great love. And he would start doing underwater experiments in 1936, while still being part of the French Navy. And while he was doing experiments under the sea, would also go on missions in China, Japan, and the Soviet Union. With the outbreak of the Second World War, he would help to improve the aqua lung, which would later be evolved into the open circuit scuba technology which is used today. In addition to this, he would organize commando missions and was able to get the French Navy to rejoin with the Allies due to his expertise in understanding ocean current movements and how to secretly evade German U-boats. In 1943, he would make a short film called Shipwrecks, in which the aqualung prototypes were first used, proving that diving under the sea could allow for more exploration. In 1946, he was put in charge of setting up the underwater research group in the French Navy, and while he had gone ahead and set this up, he would go ahead and leave the Navy before the end of the decade. By doing so, he became a private citizen, and in 1950, he would lease the Calypso and use it as a mobile laboratory, principal diving vessel, and a filming ship for all of his undersea adventures. He was instrumental in preventing radioactive waste from being dumped into the Mediterranean Sea. In a matter of 2 weeks, he would organize a grassroots campaign which would prevent the waste from ever leaving Europe and being put into the oceans, as he was able to prove that radioactive waste had a disastrous effect upon undersea life. In addition to this, he also saw with the overcrowding of nations an opportunity to create underwater living experiences, and would begin to experiment with living habitats on the sea floor. From 1966 to 1976, he would do a documentary series called The Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau, and a second show would be called The Cousteau Odyssey, which ran from 1977 to 1982. One of his biggest discoveries that was ever made occurred in 1976, as he would discover the wreck of the HMHS Britannic, a World War I hospital vessel which had sunk in the Mediterranean. In 1985, he would receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Ronald Reagan, and on January 11, 1996, the Calypso was rammed and sunk in Singapore. As a result, it was refloated and sent home to France. And while many people thought this would be the end of Jacques Cousteau's adventures, Cousteau would still be conducting interviews and trying to advocate for more work being done for under the sea. Sadly, however, Cousteau's own time being able to work on helping the sea would end on June 25th, 1997, as he suffered a heart attack, and he would be buried in the family vault at Saint-André-du-Cubzac. And yet, Cousteau's influence on all of society is still felt, as marine biology has become very popular in many circles, and people still today make new discoveries about what lives underneath the ocean and on the ocean floor. Now be sure to click like, share, and subscribe for future episodes of Milling Through History, and leave comments below for future episode ideas. And be sure to take a look at our suggested reading page.